Okay, everybody, welcome back to Varney Research Station for Game 1 of Group D. Our first player, the only non-Zerg on the group, representing the Protoss Hope, colour yellow, and the clan Z's. It is Dipwood.
And in the bottom corner of this map, our green Zerg player, whose name need not be mentioned, but we will, playing for Boreal Gaming, it is TheGiantNome. Alright, so to start this off, as Trigonal was saying, that probably a Gateway Fast Expand would be the most logical on this map in a PvZ matchup. And I'm very curious to see what will go down right here, because it looks like so far it could either be a Nexus first in a Forge Fast Expand, or it could be a Gateway Fast Expand, so we'll definitely have to see what's going to go down. Yeah, second pylon before Gateway. Very
really
macro.
Greedy with this.
Very greedy.
But, I mean, with what he has scouted, so I think he's pretty safe to do this. He just sent that probe out to make sure, and the TheGiantNome went for a fairly late pool. Like, there's no big pressure going to be coming out of Dipwood, and he is throwing up his Gateway now, so he'll have his tech relatively fast. He'll have his Nexus very fast, and he's going to be looking pretty good to go into just about anything he wants to.
Yeah, definitely. It looks like he's got a very wide array of things he can go into, definitely. And from the TheGiantNome's perspective, at least, as a Zerg, you're okay. What's going to come out of this? Like, it's Forge Fast Expand. You're saying, okay, my Protoss opponent's going to be in his base for a while. Probably not going to move out too soon. But with the Gate Fast Expand, it's you really leaving it very wide open as to what is my opponent going to do. And I think that'll really help Dipwood in this position, at least, especially with taking such a very, very early natural base. And the TheGiantNome does not know that yet, so I'm very curious to see how he'll react. Looks like he will go up to 3 bases.
Yeah, he scouted his opponent's gateway and gas timings. He hasn't actually seen the extra Nexus, but I think he's deduced it's there based on what his Overlord has seen. He's going to go down and confirm it with these 2 scouting links, which managed to get into the base now. And yeah, as you say, going up to super fast 3 bases, greed in response to greed, because it's difficult to punish on Varney Research Station. And to go back to what you're saying a little bit, Dipwood, he can go into a lot of different aggressive options off that Gateway Expand. Everything he does will be about a minute faster compared to where it would be on a Forge Fast Expand. So the TheGiantNome does have to be on his toes a little bit. Despite Dipwood's economic opener, it's perfectly possible for him to start some 3-gate or 4-gate Zealot pressure towards that 3rd base of the TheGiantNome, which is finishing up now.
Yeah, definitely. There's going to be a possibility of a lot of pressure. Now, there is no proxy pylon yet, but I'm sure we're going to see one very soon no matter what comes out of Dipwood here. And Dipwood will try to chase down this final lane. We'll kill it with the Mothership Core. We'll kill it with the Mothership Core, the main of Dipwood. And right now, Dipwood, he completely has a wall up. Only one pylon actually powering it. So a little bit of an Artosis pylon right there. But for now, he's pretty safe for any early aggression, especially with that Sentry being able to essentially force field off that entire ramp.
Yeah, there's pretty much no chance that TheGiantNome's going to be able to put on any aggression, and he knows this, so he's very wisely deciding to just let Dipwood get on with whatever he wants to do. I'd expect to see another Overlord moving in for a scout pretty soon, about 6:30 from a Nexus Gateway, about 8 minutes from a Forge, and about 6 minutes from the Gateway Fast Expand is good scout timing, and there's the Overlord getting in position to do just that. +1 weapons starting for Dipwood as well, because you get +1 weapons versus Zerg. That's pretty much just what everybody gets. I certainly haven't seen for a long time anybody starting with just defense upgrades versus Zerg. And TheGiantNome is just droning so hard.
Yeah, definitely, and I like this double scout by TheGiantNome here. Going into the natural and then going into the main, especially with 3 sentries, they may not be able to kill the Overlord, but if you send in 2 Overlords, there's almost no chance of them being able to actually kill the Overlords. And it looks like these Overlords will get out quite fine. And Dipwood going for a 3rd already, wow! As a Protoss player, if I'm in his position, even with your opponent on 3 bases, I'm pretty scared right now, and I'm very curious to see what Dipwood's going to go into. It looks like he's putting on 2 gates, which are already done, but he has not really chosen his tech path yet. Maybe we're going to see some Zealot Zealot pressure, putting on 2 more gates, so right now just going to rely on very, very gateway heavy and hoping his sentries get some great force fields. Now out of the Giant Gnome right now, we have Lings rushing across the field, no metabolic boost yet, and a couple roaches. Now, the only reason I'm worried for Dipwood here is, yes, he may have units he can start warping in, but right now, that third is just so open. It's not like there's a choke point he can choke at. Now, there is a cannon in a very nice spot next to these pylons.
Yeah, I don't think the Giant Gnome's going to be able to do much here. The cannon, as you say, really nice position. Metabolic boost is just about to finish, but the Nexus is finished as well, and that means Photon Overcharge can start to come into play. And that means I think that's pretty much just going to be able to defend it on its own. Yeah, Giant Gnome, Photon Overcharge comes down. He knows he can't take that. He has to back off, and Dipwood's got away with an incredibly greedy build.
Dipwood going for actually just completing Twilight Council right now. I'm curious if he's going to go Blink or going to DTs. Blink probably not, but... sorry, DTs probably not, but maybe. And on the other side of the map, the Giant Gnome going for a 4th. He's definitely saying, okay, the Protoss, who is Dipwood, is playing very greedy, so I can play a little bit greedy myself, and I don't need to worry about some sort of Zealot Immortal all-in right now. The back of that, those...
Oh, okay. Looks like Codecast is having a couple of technical issues, so hopefully that's just a small blip in his internet, but if not, I guess I'll be taking this one by myself. And yeah, so Dipwood he's starting to look at putting on a little bit of harassment himself with his proxy pylon that's up just above the Zerg's 4th base. The probe that put that down did get taken out before I managed to get a closer one. But he's starting to think about moving out across the map, and he really needs to be building up his army now, because Giant Gnome is approaching his final economy. He's on 67 drones right now, probably wants to be getting up to somewhere in the 70s, maybe 80 if he's going really heavy into it, but most likely about 76. And
game paused.
Once he's on that, yeah, okay, so we're just going to continue. I'm going to be taking this one by myself for now. So, yeah, once you're at about 70 drones, it's just going to be units, and with the fact that both players have been pretty greedy, I think the Giant Gnome... Dipwood has a slight advantage in greed, because Giant Gnome seems to have been reacting to Dipwood's greed rather than actually putting on his own. He is going to find the proxy pylon here, which is really, really nice, because there's no proxy pylon out on the map currently, and the probe has only just been sent out. However, Dipwood does now have a bit of a force moving out here. The sentries are going to make this so much more powerful, and the Giant Gnome has to start units. He may even have to give up this 4th base, which would be a pretty big blow. Just managed to pick off one Stalker, though, which is very nice. I'm surprised to see Dipwood not force building to save that. And a little engagement coming down. He's going to throw in a few force fields, and with the hide list coming out, he might be able to push this way. The big problem here for Dipwood is there's no reinforcements right now. The pylon just now finishing up for reinforcements, but the Giant Gnome is coming in with the rest of his hide list, a few more Lings, and it looks like this is going to be pushed away. But Blink is halfway done, and I think we're actually just going to see a big 3-base Blink call in from Dipwood. And it's going to be really, really hard hitting, because he has gotten away with so much greed in the early game that it's just that little bit faster than usual. The Mothership Core being taken out, it does get a time warp down. That's going to pick off, enable these Stalkers to pick up a couple more of these hide lists, but more and more Lings and Hydras flooding in. Really, really high DPS composition. It's the perfect answer to Blink Stalkers, really. And looks like Dipwood is going to be repelled. The Giant Gnome secures his 4th base, and he can start mining gas there, putting that towards tech, putting that towards more Hydras, putting that towards Hive and Vipers, most likely. And I guess Dipwood's backed off. I don't think he's going to continue on with Blink pressure, given that we've got a Dark Shrine coming down as well. Is that probe moving out to take a 4th base? Well, it's not going to get it anyway, whatever it was doing, because it just get picked off with an Hydra here. And now the Giant Gnome's actually moving it across the map, and his upgrades have just finished. Dipwood standing at +2 attack, whereas the Giant Gnome is at 1-1. Mince's units are going to be doing a little bit extra damage. Dipwood has had to throw down a couple extra cannons, and with no Photon Overcharge here, because the Mothership Core got sniped, there's going to be quite a good engagement here for the Giant Gnome. So many Hydra lists. But once the Zealots and Stalkers managed to get on top of them a little bit, with decent blinks from Dipwood, the Hydralisk just die really, really quickly to all these units, and there's a lot of them, though. It's a tough one to call. So many of these stalkers on low health, and they're going to all start falling very, very rapidly. The Giant Gnome has reinforcements trickling in, though, but he doesn't have a big wave for a while. On the other hand, Dipwood only has 3 stalkers right here. A couple of Dark Templar being warped in are going to drive this wave because there's no detection out right now for the Giant Gnome. And he's going to be, he should be morphing in some Overseers. But actually the Dark Templar's being sent all the way across the map to try and do some counter damage. Giant Gnome sees the blow, he's morphing in some Overseers, so he will be able to deal with that, no problemo. However, Dipwood defends his third base. And now the Giant Gnome starts going back into gas. His mineral camp's a little high, so he's going to start taking that gas instead. Take out the Dark Templar, no problem. And the Ling Hydra composition is really, really powerful right up until Colossi or Storm hit the field because it's such high DPS. They're the 2 units Protoss have a little bit of trouble with dealing with in the early game. Hydralisk just have so much DPS and Lings are so mobile. Hydralisk can kind of keep up with them as well now with their upgrades and half the swarm. But you see the the robotics facility on the way, and when that comes into Robobay, the Colossi are going to make short work of this army. But until then, really nice surround on all the Lings, on all the Stalkers that the Lings get there, and the Hydralisk coming in again and pump out a lot of damage. There is a Photon Overcharge this time, however, but it's not going to do so much against all these Hydralisks. They're going to pump out a ton of damage against all these Stalkers, trying to get good positions, but I mean, the Hydralisks just have the same range, the positioning doesn't have as much impact, and they're just going to focus down the Nexus. Really, really nice win for the Giant Gnome here, because even if he trades off his whole army, the army doesn't matter so much. He's not even going to do that. 0 army supply right now for Dipwood, and he's desperately trying to warp in sentries to force field the ramp, but the Cyber Core goes down, only Zealots from here on out. I think Dipwood played a little bit too greedy with his tech, without any high-tech units, without any AoE to try and deal with this Ling Hydra composition. These Hydralisks are going to be absolutely tearing through everything that the Giant Gnome has right now. A couple of sentries go down as well, and there's 1 more force field left for this ramp. And when that last force field expires, GG says Dipwood, and the Giant Gnome manages to take the first series.
In the gold trunks, our Protoss player, Z's Dipwood.
And his opponent up 1-0 and 1 game away from the winner's match. It's the green Zerg player from Team Boreal, the Giant Gnome,
who is currently proxy hatching.
Yes, he is. What a sneaky, sneaky man. I don't think he's been sneaky enough, though, because Dipwood has seen.
Dipwood scouts that off right off the bat.
And that's really unusual, because proxy hatch in this sort of position, this location, is really not a common thing. So I'm kind of surprised Dipwood scouted for it. I guess, as we mentioned before, they used to be on the same team. They may all have played together, and this may be one of the Giant Gnome's signature moves, his crazy overgrowth proxy hatches, and we'll have to see how well it pays off him, because Dipwood, again, he's been relatively greedy. Building his forge up on the high ground is an interesting decision as well. It makes it safe from, presumably, the spine crawlers that are going to come out of this proxy hatch, but on the other hand, there's no wall in, so when if a couple of Lings come out of the proxy hatch instead, it's going to be that bit tougher to hold them off.
Yeah, I really like from Dipwood, even before he scouts this, he did go Forge, so it'll be able to provide, as you were saying, he will be able to have cannon up. And I like the wall he's trying to make. I'm very curious to see, it looks like we'll have a queen coming out of that hatch, and I'm curious to see if he's going to get speed or not, which, actually, just starting right now as I say that. And so this looks like it'll be a very interesting game. Now, the Giant Gnome definitely is going to, these Overlord positionings are going to be key, because I feel like this is kind of random, but there is a second photon coming down. But if he can get these Lings in and throw this Overlord on top, he may be able to take that photon cannon damage up. Maybe. But it looks like we'll actually see this 2 double spine crawlers going down. As long as this queen can spread some creep, we're going to see some very quick spine crawlers onto these photon cannons, but they will need a little bit of attack with these Lings.
Yeah, spine crawler rush is how you play this kind of proxy hatch position now. And I simultaneously like and dislike the Dipwood's cannon positionings, because they're forwards, so they're actually going to be the same range as the spine crawlers. The spine crawlers won't be able to just get into a position where they can slowly poke away at the wall because they're going to be taking cannon damage. However, up until like right now, all the cannons have had a large amount of surface area on them, and the Giant Gnome could well have broken down a bunch of cannons just by running links through. Now, however, Dipwood's kind of fixed that. It's just like one flat surface of the cannon, so I don't know how it's going to go, but he's unburrowing his spines and moving forward, so I guess we're going to find out.
Yeah, definitely. I think the Giant Gnome probably wants more lings in this position, but these spine crawlers are starting to burrow in. At first, they were not able to. Queen's targeting down some of the cannons. All the lings are gone. Zealot engaging one of these queens. Queen does go down. Zealot engaging the second queen. And really, that second spine crawler just never got up. Only one photon cannon going down. Second queen trying to run away. That Zealot should be able to kill. Will actually back up in the last spine crawler down. Now, right there, two of those spine crawlers took a real long time to get down because the lings actually blocked it. So I mean, the Giant Gnome may be able to do something, but I feel like Dipwood is in such a great position now.
Yeah.
But the one key thing here is the Giant Gnome's creep spread. Now, obviously, he can't spread creep any farther because of the photon cannons, but definitely this creep spread will inhibit Dipwood in some situations if Giant Gnome can keep kind of containing here.
Yeah, I think the Giant Gnome has started spreading creep towards the third a little bit because that's the lasting damage effect of this. Okay, he has got another queen out. Lasting damage effect of this kind of proxy hatch, and why I kind of prefer it to be placed a little bit further back on that third base. But Giant Gnome moving in again here, he's not going to do anything. He might be able to take down another cannon, maybe two, but with a big beefy wall off here and another cannon behind it, there's not really much happening.
Definitely this queen right now wants to be targeting down that mothership core, but it actually won't. GG, Dipwood takes game 2, 1-1 in this best of 3. And in the ASL Challenger Round of 32, Group D, the top right-hand corner of this map, the Zerg player in the green trunks, this crazy, crazy player, playing for Boreal Gaming, it is the Giant Gnome.
Oh, yes it is. And his opponent is going to be down the bottom right. Spawning in as the yellow and representing Rip Z's Dipwood.
Woo! Excited to see what's going to happen in this very last game in the best of 3. Both players have pretty much shown like we can do whatever we want. And obviously Dipwood didn't quite work out for him in the first game, and didn't actually work out for the Giant Gnome either. So maybe they can't do whatever they want, but they think they can.
Yes, maybe. I think so. Either way, Dipwood going for a Nexus first, which is pretty good choice in Deadwing. Giant Gnome a little bit more cautious still, and opting for that pool and into hatch. And I think if he had done, from my impression on Dipwood, he's been super greedy every single game. I think he's actually gone Nexus first in all 3 games. Pretty sure he has. Yeah. And so if the Giant Gnome had done a decent bit of scouting, and if Dipwood isn't suddenly like completely flipping his style on his head, the Giant Gnome definitely could have gone away with a 3 hatch for a pool. Definitely on Deadwing, maybe on one of the other 2 maps as well.
Yeah, and I like how the Giant Gnome in this case actually went pool before hatch, being a little bit aggressive, even though this is quite a large map. Didn't he?
No, he did. Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. For a second, I was like, oh, I swear their pool's down right now and the hatch is not completed, but you know. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it looks like Giant Gnome will kill the scout for Dipwood and is sending his first 2 lings over to the other side. At the same time, the Giant Gnome scout goes directly into Dipwood's base, scouts everything. And not a ton to scout, but obviously he sees nothing too crazy is going to come out of his opponent. I'm very curious to see what Dipwood's going to do right now in this position, especially with these 2 lings, because literally, I mean, he's got the Zealot out, but if a couple more lings come across the map, it's not going to work out too well for him.
No, not at all, but Giant Gnome's not going to be pushing these out. And I reckon, I don't know, I mean, if he had gone for a big speedling flood, Dipwood would be in a lot of trouble right now. But I feel like Giant Gnome has gone a little bit too middle of the road almost. Like his pull first would have been great on aggression, like you said, but as it is, he's just got these 2 lings with it, which means like he's okay. He's still like in a decent macro position, but He could have been ahead in macro, or he could have been ahead in, or he could have been doing damage to Dipwood in terms of aggression. But as it is, he just sort of tried to do a safer build, I guess, whereas Dipwood's gone for greed, and greed generally counters safety. So Dipwood's just a tiny bit ahead in the macro game.
Definitely, Dipwood's a little bit ahead in the macro, but at the same time, I mean, the Giant Gnome is taking his third, and he knows that Dipwood plays very, very greedy, at least economy-wise, and so he does feel safe just for right now. And I think that's really a big tip-off to the Giant Gnome. Like I was saying, just he knows his opponent will play greedy. And like, they probably, I'm sure they've played before, as they were saying earlier, they were on the same team, so he definitely has a little bit of a advantage there, at least in what will happen, but at the same time, Dipwood also has that. Now, I like coming out of the Giant Gnome, going Roaches, not going Lair yet, but just going Roaches pretty quickly, and I think that's a very good idea, just to be able to contain Dipwood in these early stages of the game.
Yeah, helping contain Dipwood, helping holding off any kind of 3 or 4 gate pressure that will come out, which is a little bit late out of a gateway summon. It looks like actually that's not going to be the case after Dipwood. Instead of throwing down a bunch of gateways, he's actually going to throw down a third base with all those Merinos, and this is extremely greedy, and the Giant Gnome is going to scout it as it goes down. So I don't know if he's going to try and pressure this again. We'll have to see with his next round units. It looks like just 12 drones all at once. He's not interested. He's going to let Dipwood get away with this, and I think that's probably a good decision as well. On Deadwing, very difficult to pressure a third base.
Yeah, the Giant Gnome will be taking the 4th off the bat of that. I was going to say, if he's not going to pressure, he better go for the 4th. Taking double gas in the main and Lair is exactly what I was thinking he should be doing. Actually taking us 1 gas on his 3rd, so going up to 5 gases right now on Roach Tech at least, and we'll have Lair coming out soon. So I'm really excited to see what's going to come out of these players. I feel like it's very interesting that I didn't do a very heavy Roach aggression, because it may not be the best on this map, but I also feel like that's kind of what you'd be tipped off at, or that's the first thing that would come to my head at least. Oh, is a protest going to 3 base on the 8-minute mark? Yeah, I'm just going to all in, but definitely it'll be hard to break this wall right here.
Yeah, and a couple cannons will probably be added on behind it as well, and the Nexus is close enough to that wall that a Photon Overcharge would hit. Certainly Lings that were trying to bust down the wall, possibly Roaches as well.
Oh, a very good point.
Just one of the other things that makes Deadwing such a good map to go 3 base on. However, the Giant Gnome, recognizing his opponent's big greed plays, is, as you say, finishing up his 4th base, throwing down a Mac Crouch as well, and starting his upgrades. Now, the upgrades are a little bit late, but he has been playing very greedy with his econ, and fairly gas-light, so I feel like he's still going to be okay, and Dipwood's upgrades are also a little bit behind where they might otherwise be. This game, instead of starting +2 immediately after +1, starting down a Robo and a Twilight Council, and I like this. I think this is much better. His robotics tech is going to be a lot faster, and I think that was his big downfall in game 1, so this is nice.
Yeah, I agree. It definitely his robotic tech will be faster, but the small push right now won't. It may do damage, but it won't be as strong as he'd like it to be. Even one might not be finished yet, but it definitely will be not quite as strong as he wanted it to be. Now with these Roaches, they have some great angles, but it does look like Dipwood will go home. I don't think Dipwood can do much there. I mean, he can do a lot of force fields, but he does not have the units to actually do the damage on that army while it goes down. Now the Giant Gnome on his 4th base, I'd love to see him amass a small army and take a 5th base actually.
Yeah, that could be pretty cool to see. It could be very greedy him expanding. He could try starting to expand towards his opponent down the bottom right-hand side of the map, and really rallying from that point onwards, which could put a lot of pressure on Dipwood. If he can contain him to 3 bases for long enough, he'll mine out, and then you'll still have map control. But that's a concern for a little bit later. I think for now the Giant Gnome wants to expand his options, getting up his Spire, getting up his Infestation Pit, so he can get a hive, some Mutalisks out, not like right now, but he can open up the danger of a Mutalisk, which is powerful enough that Dipwood, if he scouted that, will have to respond to before it happens.
Yeah, I definitely agree. You definitely have to respond to mutas before they actually hit you, or it'll be very hard. But it does look like Dipwood will have Blink, so he has a partial response to it if mutas do come out. And I like from the Giant Gnome, at least in this situation, getting all the Hydra upgrades, and it looks like he's going to be going into a strong Hydra mid-game. Now, against Dipwood playing so greedy, only on one Robo, I feel like Dipwood on 3 bases at this time, he can go double Robo and pump out a lot of Colossus. Do you think it's a really good idea for the Giant Gnome to be going such heavy Hydras, which it looks like he's doing, pumping out actually Hydra and Roaches, but I feel like on 3 bases at Protoss is pretty scary if he goes double Robo. Which it looks like he is.
I think Giant Gnome will still be okay. He's got that Hive on the way, and we'll be seeing some Vipers coming out of that. And Roach Hydra Viper, it's a really strong composition up until like the real late game, but yeah, for now, definitely Giant Gnome's in a pretty good position. Dipwood's going to be moving out to take a 4th base as well, so we're not going to see any kind of big double Robo crazy all-in strategy coming out of him. He likes, I guess he just likes his macro play, and the Twilight Council, sorry, the Templar Archives even, is going to be really, really nice. That's what he needs to deal with the Vipers. Corruptor's on the way as well, though. That's going to be interesting. It's a sort of double threat to these Colossi.
Yeah, and on the back of that Hive coming out for the Giant Gnome, I'd love to see him start pounding out these 1-1 upgrades, or no, the 2-2 and 3-3, but 1-1 at the same time. I'd love to see that start and just get a really, really strong upgraded army. I feel like he can do that, especially on 5 bases right now. And it will look like the Giant Gnome is moving in, and at the same time Dipwood's kind of moving out. He may be able to catch him in a bad position. Now Blink is down to be able to take out some of these Corruptors. We'll have to see how it goes. These Corruptors will get a decent angle on this, but the Stalker should be able to take them out. Okay, 2 Time Warps going out. Hydra is having a very, very nice concave. Looks like Roaches are on the front, but some nice force fields actually blocking out a lot of the army in the back sides. All the Colossus are actually gone right now, and the Stalkers should be able to deal with these Corruptors. Corruptors actually moving away, realizing nothing more to kill. And it looks like only Stalkers left now for Dipwood blinking forward. I kind of feel like the Giant Gnome, he might have made a little, or just a few too many Corruptors in this position. 60 Lings coming out of him, definitely. That'll be very, very hard to deal with.
Yeah, I think he's pretty okay. The Giant Gnome didn't win that engagement, but that wasn't one he was going to. He has traded well enough that the Remax is going to be scary for Dipwood to deal with. There's one more Colossus here. These Corruptors, they're enough to warp in or move in and kill it very, very quickly. The 4th base, there's no way that's getting up. And this is a really, really scary army. Remaxing on Link Hydra is a great decision in the face of having just killed your opponent's Colossi. And he's still got those Corruptors alive to take care of the Colossi. And yeah, he's actually just going to go back. He's content keeping Dipwood contained for those 3 bases because he's got all his tech up. He's got all his options. He's on 200-200. He can start building up a big bank to threaten the tech switches that Protoss just have so much difficulty dealing with.
Yeah, no, I really like in the early game, the Giant Gnome did take out Dipwood's pylon in the right-hand corner, but he's remade another one, and the Warp Prism will be taken out by these Corruptors, so nothing will happen there, but definitely trying to get in a little bit of harassment. I'd love to see a pylon somewhere on the left-hand side of the map to get a nice angle on this large army when it does move in to be able to have some Zealot flanks. And then, off the back of all this for Dipwood, we actually do see Psystorm almost finishing about 5 seconds, but Giant Gnome kind of debating whether he wants to move in right now, and I think these Zerglings are a very good idea, and it's going to be very hard for this army to deal with just such a large amount of Zerglings, even with Storm. And that we will also see DT Shrine coming down for Dipwood. So I'm very curious to see how he's going to play this out. Probably just making a very large death ball.
Yeah, most likely. It looks like Giant Gnome's going to move in again here, though, and the Link's getting straight up on top of all that army. They're going to be needing now a lot of DPS, but Storm's going down on the hide list. Going to leave them all on very, very low health. They're going to die really fast, the Colossi to Stalkers, to just about everything. But the Colossi have been taken out, and there's still these hide lists alive, but on pretty low health. Dipwood is going to fend this off again, but he's being suppressed. He's down at 30 army supply now. Warpins have taken him up to 36. But the Giant Gnome, the Remax, is instant. 200-200. Didn't really drop during that entire fight. And Dipwood is sitting down at 115 out of 198. So the Remax out of Giant Gnome is going to be pushing in towards him, and it's going to be tough for Dipwood to deal with.
Definitely. Dipwood also taking a hidden base at the same time taking his 4th. He knows he needs to get that economy up. A lot more Corruptors out to take out the non-existent Colossus at the moment, but especially with these remaxing at a lot of Lings, obviously all the Storms are used in that first battle, and it's going to be so hard to deal with these Lings with this amount of Stalkers. Stalkers will try to deal with these Lings, attacking the 3rd base. 3rd base cancelled, a couple other buildings cancelled, and it will look like these Lings will be very, very good in this position. Now, I'm a little bit worried for these Hydras. With some proper Blink, I think they'll probably be taken out, but we'll have to see what happens. Now, no Storm actually for that one High Templar. Could have been amazing on that ramp. Looks like a few Hydralisks will get up that ramp and start targeting them down, but some nice force fields keeping the rest of these Hydras out. And the Colossus will be out now.
There's going to have to be some insane blinks with so many Hydralisks. The Colossi get a couple good sweeps in, but the Corruptors take them all out, and so many Hydralisks are here. There's only like 6 Stalkers. There's about 10 times the number of Hydralisks there. They're going to focus down that Nexus in about 5 bullies. They take it out, and TheGiantNome is just parading around Dipwood's base here. He's looking so strong, in great position to take this game.
Definitely, yeah, and the TheGiantNome is at 2-2, while Dipwood's at 0-3 at the moment, so I don't know if it's, I think it's a little bit of an upgrade advantage for the TheGiantNome, even though he's not at 3. Targeting down those Stalkers, GG, TheGiantNome takes game 3, and will maybe advance to the round of 16. He will be in the top of this bracket for now.